Hello, it's Film Frenzy here, and today I'll be reviewing all 10 X-Men Universe films. To recap, these include the 3 original X-Men films, the 3 First Class films, the 3 Wolverine films, and Deadpool. Starting off this list as the worst X-Men film is X-Men Origins Wolverine, the original Wolverine film. So, this original Wolverine film is definitely the worst X-Men film of all time, but it still has some pros because no X-Men film is truly completely terrible. So I thought that the acting was pretty good. I mean, Logan's an amazing character. Hugh Jackman does a great job. Lee Schreiber I thought did a pretty good job as his brother. Um, had good humor from Deadpool before he got his mouth closed shut. It was cool to see some of these new mutants introduced, and it with Logan's like losing his memory at the end, it kind of blended well into like the original X-Men film. And then the cons kind of outweigh it. Like I had to rehash the plot while like on Wikipedia, and I realized that besides being forgettable, like with a forgettable love interest, it also kind of featured a silly plot that was almost like a bad soap opera. I mean, it was kind of confusing and stuff, which made it not very emotional. And then Victor was kind of a strange character. Like you didn't know if he was like completely good or bad. And I mean, they did some really stupid things. Like they didn't use Gambit correctly, and then they like sealed Deadpool's mouth shut. They lost so many jokes from that. So that's why this is the worst X-Men film. Coming in at number 9, X-Men Apocalypse, the final movie in the X-Men First Class trilogy. So I think the best way to view this film as being a complete mess. It's got a lot of good stuff there, like the relationship between Xavier and Magneto is great. The intros to some of the characters like Storm, Jean Grey, and Cyclops are good. I like how there's so many mutants in it, and like it's emotional with the Holocaust scenes and stuff like that. So it's got a lot of good stuff going for it, right? The villain he has a good plan, and it makes sense. There's a lot of stakes. You know, the world is like stakes, but there's just too much put together, so it kind of becomes just like all lost and stuff. It's really forgettable because it's predictable and because it just follows the same like plot lines as the other ones. And X-Men Apocalypse is quite overlong with a villain that's very forgettable because he's stereotypical. So overall, it was quite underwhelming compared to the previous 2 X-Men films. And at number 8, I have X-Men The Last Stand, the final film in the original X-Men series. So The Last Stand is very similar to X-Men Apocalypse, and they both conclude a trilogy, and they both have a lot of good subplots, but just put them together in a messy way. This film is extremely messy. It has all these strange things that happen that I kind of forgot about. Like Xavier dies, but he kind of comes back at the end. Mystique turns human. Like lots of these things were never really resolved in the continuity. Like there's some awesome battles and new mutants introduced, and the final battle is kind of like a concluding battle that's really awesome. But and like there's great performances in both movies, like I said, but it just there's just so many plot lines. They misuse the Phoenix Saga and other X-Men characters like Juggernaut and more. Like, since it's such a mess, it kind of loses its poignancy and becomes a much less deep movie, so that's why it's only coming in at number 8. And at number 7, I have the X-Men spin-off Deadpool. And yes, you heard that correct. So, don't get me wrong, I do love Deadpool, and I think this is really the start of the great X-Men movies on this list. Yes, I know it's farther back than most people think, but honestly, I was just kind of underwhelmed with it. I found it like a fairly standard superhero movie, and it was pretty predictable, and it had like a very forgettable villain in Ajax, and overall, just wasn't as deep and insightful as the other X-Men movies. But I mean, it was hilarious. The screenplay was excellent and took advantage of the R rating. So did the action sequences. They were awesome. The acting was great. They were all perfectly cast and had great chemistry. Ryan Reynolds was Deadpool. He made the movie great. And overall, this is a super enjoyable movie, but just isn't as insightful as the ones higher on this list. And coming in at number 6, I have the second Wolverine film, The Wolverine. So, I find The Wolverine to be quite an underrated movie. I mean, yes, it can be a little messy at times with the plot just going all over the place, and the last third of the movie is kind of just gets like all messy and weird, but the theme still comes through about like the difficulties of immortality. It's very insightful. It's a deep movie. It's a great drama. It's directed by James Mangold, who did Logan, and he does a great job with that. There was great acting with like always with Hugh Jackman. There was lots of stakes. The violence was awesome. Very good direction. It was very emotional. I liked how it was set in Japan. The villain was kind of interesting. How he was like an old man that wanted immortality, and I guess another con was how it connects to the X-Men universe, because there's not really mention of it outside of the movie. But overall, this is an excellent action drama that transcends the superhero genre. Beginning the top 5, I have the original X-Men, the film that started it all. Some say Blade is the start of the modern superhero movie, and some go a little later and say Spider-Man is. Personally, I think it's X-Men. But X-Men doesn't just get to the top 5 on this list because of that. It's also because it's an amazing movie. So, first off, I think it's the start because it's like the first superhero movie that I know that really has like a theme and stuff. This is about like, persecution and stuff. And has like all these great introductions to classic characters. It's really fun to watch. There's cool action sequences. It's a very memorable movie. There's a great script, great acting with an excellent cast, and Magneto is just one of the best comic book villains ever. He's very complex with his Holocaust origin. Yes, it's slightly outdated with the effects and how it has a slower pace. And yes, it does spend a lot of time with world building and exposition, so not as much time to build on the theme, but that's what the second X-Men is for. Speaking of X-Men 2, X2 X-Men United is coming in at number 4. So remember how I was saying how the original X-Men movie has to have a lot of exposition? Well, X2 does not, so they can build more on the theme of persecution, and that's why it's a better movie. Like, the conversations are just so good, the script is amazing, the direction's amazing, the fight scenes are awesome, the acting is great. It's just a really well done movie, and it feels like almost like a really good drama with a couple superhero fight scenes thrown in. And it differentiates from the original. It's not like the same thing, because like Stryker's a very interesting villain and very different from Magneto. And it just like, I like how it expands certain characters' roles. Yes, the same thing as the original. It's a little outdated, like with the fire effects and the slower pace, and it can be a little overly confusing, but overall, it's a superb movie. Set in the 1960s and the beginning of the First Class trilogy, X-Men First Class is coming in at number 3. So, X-Men First Class is kind of similar in format to the original X-Men, how they're introducing like a team, except these are the young versions of the X-Men's introduced in the original. And I think this one is better for a couple reasons. First, I think it does the best job of exploring the theme of persecution, and how like the origins are more fleshed out with like Magneto and the Holocaust, but other characters aren't as fleshed out, which could be better. And there's no Wolverine also, and I liked how this had a little bit of faster pace. It was more modern. The cast was amazing, great performances, great screenplay, it had humor and drama. Charles and Eric's relationship was great. I love the 60s setting. But even though it has great humor, I found the tone could be a little inconsistent at times. Overall, this is an excellent film and the best X-Men film until its sequel, X-Men Days of Future Past, which is coming in at number 2. So X-Men Days of Future Past really takes everything great about the originals and combines it with what's great about First Class. It has First Class's humor, like blend of humor and drama, and also its faster pace, while it has the original's plot complexity and character developments. It's awesome. It has some introductions to cool characters like Quicksilver. It has a cool sci-fi premise with the time travel. It has a good blend of humor and drama, like I said. The cast is just huge and awesome. Takes the persecution theme even further with the genocide with the Sentinels, and I love the character developments, like with Xavier, like how he he's just a broken man at the beginning and becomes like happier. It's awesome. The really only complaints are with some continuity issues, and it concludes like a little bit too tidy. But overall, it's an amazing movie. And the number 1 X-Men film is Logan, the third and final film in the Wolverine trilogy. Logan is truly a perfect movie. It just has perfect scores for like every single aspect of like what I like about a movie. You can see my review on it, but I think the direction is amazing. The visuals with the cinematography of the desert landscape are great. The acting is like Oscar worthy. I think Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman should be nominated. The characters developed during the movie, they all have arcs. It's original, because it's a superhero western. The dialogue is great. The theme on family is what it's important in life is awesome. The fight scenes are super cool. It has a powerful conclusion that shows there's a tons of stakes in this movie, and it wasn't bad with the continuity because it separates itself. Like, the only thing is, like, it could be a little slow for some, but I didn't care, and I thought it's an amazing movie that you should most definitely see. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment below what other ranking videos or review videos you'd like to see. And get excited for more content. See you guys later.